9. Snake Island. 93 miles, 150 kilometers off the coast of Sao Paulo, Brazil, there's a horrifying island that's filled with the world's highest concentration of venomous snakes. It's known as Ilha da Queimada Grande, or Snake Island. Anywhere you step on this island, you'll be anywhere between 1 to 500 gold lancehead vipers per square meter, 10.8 feet squared, amounting to between 2 and 4,000 snakes total. The deadly population is thriving, owing to the abundant supply of migratory birds that the species feed on, as well as a lack of natural predators. Golden lanceheads are responsible for as much as 90% of all fatal snake bites in Brazil. They grow to just 1.6 feet, 0.5 meters long, but their venom packs a powerful punch, causing victims' flesh to rot. The population on Snake Island has been isolated there for around 11,000 years, and their venoms evolved to make them especially effective at killing birds. A handful of people have tried living on the island, but many reportedly died, and it eventually became clear that it's not too safe for humans to be there at all. Today, the Brazilian Navy forbids all visitors, except for researchers with special permission access to travel to the island. Biologist Marcelo Duarte, who's visited the island over 20 times, claims that the 1 in 5 snakes per square meter estimate is exaggerated, though not by much, according to Atlas Obscura. Even when considering the low end of this estimate, 1 snake per square meter, that still means a person is never more than 3 feet away from a deadly golden lancehead. 8. The Maracoxy. While mapping South America's jungles with his son in 1914, British explorer Colonel Percival H. Fawcett allegedly came face to face with hairy Sasquatch-like creatures that invaded their camp. Fawcett reportedly scared the intruders off by firing his gun toward their feet. He claimed that the animals, dubbed the Maracoxy, could only speak in grunts and were hostile toward humans. While Fawcett's account of the encounter lives on in his writings, nobody will ever know exactly what he saw, because he wasn't around for much longer after that. In 1925, a little more than a decade after the alleged Maracoxy sighting, Fawcett and his men disappeared while searching for a lost city called Zed. He'd embarked on 2 previous expeditions to find Zed, and had been driven out of the jungle both times by fever, exhaustion, and poor weather, leading some to believe that perhaps he succumbed to one or more of these conditions during his 3rd try, or that perhaps his group was killed by a local tribe. Others believed that they were still alive, and that they were perhaps living in the wilderness, or had been taken captive. Some have even suggested that Fawcett and his fellow explorers fell victim to the Maracoxy. While there's no evidence to support this theory, it also hasn't been disproven, because to this day, nobody has any clue of what happened to Fawcett's group. 7. A Cult Massacre. Jim Jones was a charismatic preacher who began attracting followers during the 1960s with his brand of evangelical Christianity, peppered with elements of New Age spiritualism, and his views on social justice that were, at the time, considered radical. His church, known as the People's Temple, encouraged communal living and was racially diverse. It seemed like a welcoming place, but over time, Jones's sermons became increasingly bizarre. He proclaimed himself as the Messiah and pressured members to fork over all their money, work for the church for free, and cease all contact with any relatives who weren't followers. Believing the US was under the threat of nuclear attack, Jones moved his group to a remote compound in Guyana in 1977. There, in the distant jungle, he had the added benefit of evading the prying eyes of the authorities, who by then had started to become suspicious of his cultish activities at the settlement, known as Jonestown. But Jones became increasingly paranoid as concerns back in the US among his members' loved ones, the media, and the American government rose. In 1978, California Congressman Leo Ryan and a group of journalists went on a fact-finding mission to Jonestown. Cult members shot 5 of the mission's members dead and wounded several others. That night, the 900 people at Jones carried out something they'd practiced many times in mock drills, drinking Kool-Aid lethally laced with cyanide. Not everyone did this willingly, so it wasn't a mass suicide. Some were physically forced to ingest the deadly concoction, and it's believed that many went along with it simply because they knew they had little to no chance of escaping. Jones then took his own life with a gunshot to the head. The next morning, troops found bodies strewn throughout the encampment. Only a handful survived after hiding in the brush throughout the ordeal, and one woman had slept through it unnoticed. For many, the mass tragedy served as a cautionary tale of what can happen when a cult's activities go unchecked. 6. Goliath Bird Eater. The Amazon rainforest is home to the world's largest spider, a member of the tarantula family known as the Goliath Bird Eater. Weighing up to 5.1 inches, 13 centimeters long, and weighing as much as 0.4 pounds, 175 grams, it ranks as the planet's biggest arachnid in terms of body length and mass. When it comes to leg span, it ranks only second to the giant huntsman spider, but the species still has an impressively huge leg span, measuring up to a foot, 30 centimeters in diameter, or roughly the size of an American dinner plate. Goliath bird eaters can and will eat small vertebrates when the opportunity arises, which is what gave them their fearsome reputation in addition to their terrifying appearance. These creatures have hairs that they release when threatened, which is severely irritating to human skin. They also have sizable venomous fangs measuring between 0.79 and 1.57 inches, 2 to 4 centimeters long, which are capable of penetrating human skin. It's not in the species' nature to act aggressively toward humans. A Goliath bird eater will bite if they feel threatened. They do not always administer venom when they bite, but if it happens, chances are the victim will be okay. The venom's effects are similar to the symptoms of a wasp sting, which make a person uncomfortable but are generally non-life-threatening. 5. Ibadan Forest of Horror. In 2014, a group of motorcycle taxi drivers entered Nigeria's Soccer Forest in search of a missing colleague. They happened upon some dilapidated buildings filled with emaciated people chained to slaughtering slabs. The searchers also found bones and decomposing body parts strewn throughout the surrounding area, as well as personal effects that presumably belonged to the people who had been murdered at the site. 8 starving victims were rescued and taken to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late to save one woman, and she died while receiving treatment. Police theorize that the area, known as the Ibadan Forest of Horrors, was used by kidnappers, human traffickers, and ritualists. It was believed that at least some of the disturbing activities that went on there were supported by wealthy citizens and politicians who participate in human sacrifices as part of their spiritual rituals. There were even rumors of top government officials patronizing the horrifying activities, but it was later determined that there's no clear evidence of this. One victim, a man named Nafi Yushitu, said that 2 men had forced him into a car 4 months earlier and soon fell unconscious. When he woke up, he was chained to a wall in the woods. After news of the Forest of Horrors broke, citizens came from all over the country in search of missing loved ones, fearing that they had perhaps been victimized by the traffickers. The state's governor arrived at the scene and encountered an angry crowd of civilians who were demanding answers about the atrocities that had happened. Some of the survivors claim that their kidnappers had claimed to be state government officials. Residents also accused the police of refusing to investigate before the grisly discoveries were made, despite receiving numerous reports of kidnapping. The governor reassured the unruly crowd that just like they didn't know what was going on at the site, neither did the government. He urged citizens to be vigilant and to immediately report anything even slightly suspicious that they bear witness to in the future. Additionally, he revoked occupancy of the land and promised to dig up the site in search of other victims who were rumored to be hidden in an underground tunnel. The buildings were demolished and a school was built on the property. 4. A flesh-eating disease. In 2011, archaeologists discovered La Cuida Blanca, also known as the Lost City of the Monkey God, in the Mosquitia rainforest of eastern Honduras. The team was beyond excited to find the site after coming face to face with a venomous snake, being stalked by hungry pumas, and almost drowning in quicksand on their way there. During excavations, they found sacred objects that the city's residents had hastily buried before fleeing. The commonly accepted theory for why the Aztecs deserted the site in 1520 is that they came down with a flesh-eating disease. Several weeks after the trip, the researchers began experiencing concerning symptoms. Half of the team members had bug bites that weren't going away, and some of them were having trouble swallowing. The National Institutes of Health eventually diagnosed the ailing researchers with a parasitic disease called leishmaniasis, which is transmitted by sand fleas. World-famous author and explorer Douglas Preston, who was among the infected, said that the parasite basically eats away at a person's mouth and nose. Left untreated, a sufferer can expect their nose and lips to fall off, and for their face to basically become a gigantic open sore. Luckily, Preston and his colleagues received treatment before any horrible disfigurement could take place. However, while Preston responded well to the treatment, some of the team members needed it on an ongoing basis, and one of them ended up with severe liver damage. 3. An alien-like creature. In 2011, British tourists captured some video footage while visiting Brazil's Manaus region. It wasn't until after the trip that paranormal writer Mike Cohen spotted what looked like an alien standing next to a tree and a floating orb off in the distance. The humanoid figure was spotted in a region that's known for frequent UFO sightings. It happened so often that the Brazilian government investigated the claims in the late 70s in what was known as Operation Prato, sending the military into the area to monitor for extraterrestrial activity. The operation was kept secret for years until information about it was eventually declassified. Some speculate that otherworldly beings are interested in the location because of its unique and vast biodiversity. But the clandestine military mission to find signs of alien activity procured no notable evidence, and the mystery surrounding the photo and the alleged sightings of visitors from outer space endure to this day. 2. Boiling River. Geophysicist Andre Russo was just a child when his grandfather told him about a boiling Amazonian river called Chane Timpishka. As an adult, he wanted to find out if the fabled river really exists, so he ventured deep into the Peruvian jungle in search of it. Russo found what he was looking for. He told National Geographic that the 5.5-mile, 9-kilometer long river, which reaches up to 16 feet, 4.9 meters deep in some places, starts out as a cold stream. The lower portion of the river is where the water gets hot, with temperatures ranging between 81 degrees and 201 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 to 94 Celsius. It's not water that you want to step in or touch by accident, according to Russo, who said that some of it is hot enough to boil and kill a person. He further explained that small mammals, reptiles, and amphibians often fall in and are boiled alive. The boiling river is a non-volcanic geothermal feature that flows from deep within the Earth. This discovery of its origins came as good news to Russo, who previously suspected that the boiling river may have resulted from a nearby oil field accident rupturing a local geothermal system. It's a sacred place to locals, who've long known about the boiling river and believe that it has healing powers. A shaman from the nearby town of Mayantoyaku guards the river and grants permission to those who come by to explore it. 1. Bangar Fort. Located in the Alwar district of India's Rajasthan state, Bangar Fort was built in 1537 by the local ruler Raja Bhagwan Sain for his son Madho Sain. During ancient times, it stood as an architectural marvel and was home to a flourishing town of as many as 10,000 residents. It was filled with grand temples, marketplaces, and stunning mansions, or havelis. At some point, Bangar was deserted, and there are various myths that exist to explain why. According to one legend, a local Hindu ascetic named Baba Balak Nath cursed the site after his property was overshadowed by the fort structures. He had insisted on having the town's tallest home and had assured everyone that the entire town would be destroyed if anyone violated this rule. When Bangar Fort was built, it went against Baba Balak Nath's wishes, and he retaliated by cursing the structure. Another tale tells of a black magician who tried to woo a beautiful Bangar princess with a love potion. She rejected him and threw the concoction at a boulder, triggering the giant rock to roll over the magician and crush him. As he lay dying, he cursed the fort, promising that it would become unlivable. Today, Bangar Fort is considered one of India's most haunted sites. Several people have died in accidents there, prompting the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, to ban overnight visitors. This was supposedly done for safety reasons, but some people believe that the authorities are trying to keep people out when spiritual activity is at its highest. Thanks for watching. Would you rather encounter a cult campground in the middle of a remote jungle, or catch a flesh-eating parasite during a jungle excursion? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time, bye!